Guys, today we're going to do a breakdown of how the Zealot class plays. First of all, what does a Zealot do better than other classes in the game? Do we rush 100 yards across the map and just absolutely delete Ogrins? Sure, that's great, but that's not what we're really best at. The Zealot class has access to the Flamethrower, and we are by far and away, no holds barred, the best horde control in the game. Nothing comes close to it. And today, with the Flamethrower in mind, we're going to be breaking down what melee options are good for the Zealot. I don't know the official name of every enemy in the game, but we'll be breaking them down how we approach them in Heresy and Damnation difficulty. The first enemy type will be the Horde. These enemies should die in just 1 or 2 hits, but more importantly will spawn in the hundreds. This is where the Flamethrower really makes us stand above the other classes. No one could deal with the amount of AoE that we truly have. The second grouping of enemies I like to call Grunts. They come in 2 aggressive melee forms and 4 range forms. 3 of the 4 range forms have Flak Armor. Flak Armor reduces the damage they take by a large margin unless you're using a penetrating weapon. The third type of enemy grouping I like to call Elites. They come in Maulers, 2 different types of Gunners, 2 different types of Ragers, and 2 different types of Shotgunners. Each one of these has different armor values based on what faction they follow, but are generally the same unit. The fourth type of unit are Special Spawns. These are commonly spawned around the map and cause havoc for your team. The Zealot are especially good at taking out Flamers, Netters, and also the Mutant. The Sniper, Grenader, and Dogs are best left to veteran Sharpshooters and Psychers. Now that we have gone over our enemy types, let us look through our talents. Enemies Within, Enemies Without is our best tier 1 talent. This gives us the ability to regenerate toughness when not near our team. If you are looking for grimoires, scriptures, or just separated from your team, being able to regenerate toughness easily is one of the most important things in the game. For a tier 2 talent, we will take Bloodletting. 10% melee crit chance against a bleeding enemy is only slightly useful, but the other 2 are planning for failure. Retribution only gets effect below 50 or below 20% health, and Punishment is obsolete because we will be using our Flamethrower for more than 10 enemies. For a third talent, we will have 2 options. Benediction is great for a general reduction in toughness damage to your team, but Inspiring Exoration, in my opinion, is going to be better for saving your team in clutch moments. For the fourth talent, we have 2 good options. Thy Wrath Be Swift gives you a great benefit if you are using heavy attacks on any of your weapons. Faith Restores All is great for just general survivability. For a fifth option, we only have one real choice. Rising Conviction gives us 20% bonus damage if we keep attacking. Honor the Martyr is planning for failure. You have to have low health for this to give any benefit, and if you're playing well, you should not be at low health. Emperor's Execution is not bad, but since we use a Flamethrower and it destroys everything, we do not need it. For our last option, 2 charges on your ultimate is a no-brainer. Being able to charge back-to-back during dangerous elite waves will give you more toughness regeneration and more damage. This breakdown is going to be focused on Heresy difficulty. If you are doing Damnation, you are beyond this point and I will not be able to help you. The Thunderhammer is a wonderful weapon, but unfortunately, you will only be able to one-shot half of the weak horde enemies with it. The rest of them are easily knocked down, and it is a great crowd control weapon. As with the horde enemies, you will have some issues with the Grunts. The Thunderhammer will take 2 hits on multiple of these enemies, even if they are heavy attacks. Some enemies will still go down in 1 hit, but a majority of the Grunts will take 2. The Thunderhammer is exceptionally good versus both Flamers, Netters, and charging mutants. Oops. Charging mutants. The place where the Thunderhammer truly shines is versus Ogrins and Monstrosities. A charged strike to an unarmored face, dead. If you hit a Carapace armor, it will still do massive damage. Combined with your ultimate ability, you can stun and hit for absolutely absurd damage numbers. Versus a Bulwark, you can knock his shield out of way for other people to hit and for yourself to hit. Very effective. On to the Eviscerator. Even though the Thunderhammer, according to these lovely yellow bars, does more damage than the Eviscerator, my Eviscerator will one-shot most units in the Horde category. The heavy strike with the Eviscerator is very good. It won't push as many units as the Thunderhammer will, but it will do consistent damage. To follow up the swing, you have to follow with a light attack to continue the Horde killing. Luckily though, our Horde killing is still dedicated to our Flamethrower. Unlike the Thunderhammer, the Eviscerator will one-shot any grunt with a headshot, assuming you have all 5 charges of your ability. Once you get to 5 charges and you get a headshot, any grunt will die. The biggest problem I have with the Chainsword is it's a little hard to hit the head. It is much more finicky than other weapons in this category that seem to home in on people's necks. Elites die quite easily to the Eviscerator. Charged strikes do a very effective buzzsaw effect. They're very good versus every elite in the game, but they take time. If you are hit during this animation, your ability will stop. Unlike the Thunderhammer, your ability can go through Horde enemies. This is a massive buff because you will be able to either A, clear hordes, or B, hit the elite right behind a normal Horde enemy. The Eviscerator has the ability to one-shot every special spawn in the game.
The Hound is dead! Dead talk through! Never doubted we'd storm his foul head in! Praise the God Emperor! We've killed the Trapper!
It is surprisingly effective. Compared to the Thunderhammer, the Eviscerator falls short in the Ogrin and Monstrosity category. It still does wonderful damage, especially with a headshot, but a headshot is not reliable or easy. You can do heavy attacks for massive damage, but versus Carapace armor, even with the strongest attack, you're only doing 469. With headshots, you will do a little more, if you can land one. It is not easy to do so. A charge attack will do a lot of damage. Moving on to the Chain Axe. A Chain Axe will never one-shot a basic enemy, but it will always damage units around it. This gives it decent cleave, but never good enough to warrant not being able to one-shot a unit, in my opinion. It does have a built-in push and slice, which is pretty decent cleave and good for keeping enemies off of you. When dealing with grunt enemies, you will not be able to one-shot every one of them. Only 3 enemies are one-shottable, and only when you get your charges up. The chain axe truly shines in elites, special spawns, monstrosities, and ogrins. There is nothing that can stop this weapon from doing massive amounts of damage. If you hit an enemy a few times, it does great damage with just the light attacks. But now with our special charged up, revved hit, you can one-shot maulers in heresy. Even without your charges, Ragers have no chance. Shotgunners, obviously, suffer the same fate. Every single special enemy in the game will happily be cut in half for your cause. Nothing stands to a chainsaw's rev attack. Monstrosities and ogrins have no chance against the chain axe either. I'm going to go ahead and just charge up my ability to 5 charges. We'll take on the strongest one. 15-12 with no ultimate. Let's get our charges up for fun. Without a headshot, it is a one-shot on full carapace armor. Literally nothing can stand to this weapon. If you want to delete one target, this is your weapon. But keep in mind, you're still not gonna one-shot a basic bitch. Okay, that was very low health. There we go. He ducked me. I'm done. The combat axe. Terrible cleave. It will only hit one other enemy at a time. That being said, anything short of a Ogrin, Rager, or Special, or Elite will die in one swing. This makes it very appealing, especially considering cleave is not really in our vocabulary when we have a flamethrower. The combat axe truly shines versus grunts. This is the only enemy that can survive 2 hits with my current axe. This is very powerful for moving through units of ranged capability. Sliding into them is free kills. The combat axe is very strong versus elites. Most enemies will go down in 3 to 4 swings. The Mauler is an exception because his helm is carapace. When you go over to the Rager side, they die just as quickly.
Would you look at that? The Rager's dead!
It doesn't feel nearly as quick as cutting someone in half with a chainsaw, but it cannot be interrupted. The chainsaw and Thunderstrike both have downsides. The Thunderstrike will be blocked by a single mob. The chainsaw will be interrupted by being hit by a single mob. The axe just keeps swinging.
God. Glory be and praise the God Emperor. Ha! Mutant falls. Bomber's dead.
One-shotting lots of enemies. And it's very good in conjunction with your ultimate.
Well, heretic! Rager slain, my kindred.
The combat axe is honestly quite terrible versus monstrosities. If you are up against a Nurgle beast or a Plague Ogrin, I hope you have a chain axe or a thunderhammer. That being said, Ogren die pretty quickly to the combat axe. It's not that effective without your ultimate, but with it, they die in seconds. The Crusher dies especially fast because the combat axe comes with built-in penetration. That is very effective. The too long didn't watch version of this video is as follows. The Thunderhammer has poor single target damage without its ability active. Its cleave is very good at knocking people over, and its ability will destroy monstrosities and Ogren. The Heavy Eviscerator is good at cleave and single target, though its headshots are kind of hard to hit. Its special ability will go through small units to hit bigger units, so it's decent in a crowd. Unfortunately, it is not as much damage as the Chain Axe. The Chain Axe will absolutely destroy any target you hit with its ability, but it has terrible cleave damage and not very useful in hordes or multiple unit engagements, and is pretty bad versus grunts. The Combat Axe will destroy any grunt in one shot. The only downside to it is it's not very good versus monstrosities. As long as you have a flamethrower, any of these weapons will work great though.